And I want to begin with my grandfather precisely because he entertained all of my metaphysical and spiritual questions as a child. And because he basically taught me that reading is one tiny way of perceiving, and other shamanic techniques are necessary to actually begin embarking on a metaphysical journey through life. Shamanic techniques of perception, beyond focal vision where you individuate little targets in your panorama, and instead gaze atmospherically at your panorama until you start to resonate with its refractive qualities. Now, what do I mean by resonate? I mean, you start to emotionally and perceptually fuse with your atmosphere, which sounds bizarre except in a phenomenological context, and except in a through shamanic phenomenology, meaning the environment and you are not just quantum mechanically entangled, not just chemically mechanically entangled, biologically mechanically entangled, etc. We are metaphysically entangled with our environments in ways that are beyond our current understanding, which is conducive to the emotions of awe or inspiration and thanksgiving or appreciation. And these are exactly what one can experience when you're fusing with your panorama, atmospherically. This is one technique which, in Spanish, my grandfather called it una visión generalizada, meaning generalized vision in Spanish, as opposed to in juxtaposition to focalized vision. This is one form of vision which does not pick out little targets, but instead begins to fuse with the entire panorama, communicating with it in a way that is, again, beyond our current understanding. Communications have to be perceived through presences, not just behaviors. An object's presence is communicative in a generalized vision and other forms of sensation. In that context, you can start to communicate with environments in ways that, again, are quite astonishing. There are many stories that I could share here, but we'll save those for later. So, another thing my grandfather taught me was service to others, meaning your fulfillment is only possible through acts of kindness and love. Now, love, it can be generalized just as vision and audition and sensation in general are also extended beyond their focal contexts, right? Individual love or universal love. Service to self, meaning selective love of only certain people in a very narrow definition of love, or generalized, universalized love, in which case you're appropriately applying this attribute, this unifying attribute, love, to everybody and every being. Now, we call the sub-attributes of love the seven heart virtues. Now, the core and the boundary, respectively, are joy and understanding or contemplation, but you have appreciation, mercy, or forgiveness, compassion, valor, and humility. These are the five virtues. Of course, these are sub-attributes of universal love. They can be, further partitioned according to emotions. Positive emotions would be basically affirmations or extensions of these attributes, and negative emotions would be negations, catalytic negations of these attributes. So that was another thing my grandfather taught me explicitly, was to filter our experiences through these attributes. Okay, but appropriately applying individually and in ensembles these attributes takes wisdom. So, ironically, the phrase or term wise love, which Ra uses, is something that my grandfather used to basically teach as central to a fulfilling existence. My grandmother exuded love and wisdom. She did not so much elaborate on it. My grandfather also exuded it, but his specialty was in communicating it. But my grandmother, his wife, who still lives, thankfully, and for whom I have deep, deep appreciation and admiration, was able to and is ongoingly able to exude universal love to everyone she meets. As is the case with other members of my family, including my father's side of the family. My grandmother is truly beyond words. She is approaching, I think she's almost 85 now. And her life has been one of service through presence primarily. Her presence is soothing, it's healing. Again, in ways that go beyond words.